Life Audio.
Welcome to But Jesus Drank Wine
and other stories that kept us stuck. I'm Mead.
and I'm Christy.
In this podcast, we'll explore the stories that kept us, well, stuck, wanting to drink and not wanting to drink, all at the same time.
Join us as we show you that freedom from alcohol does not have to mean a life sentence of misery and missing out.
But actually means living an authentic life full of peace, joy, and purpose.
We're here. Where are we?
Huzzah.
We're here.
Huzzah.
I don't know if it's huzzah going to be the new hashtag?
Well, obviously.
But what about so good, so true?
Now that's so 2023. I don't know. I think we've moved on. Aren't we all tired of so good, so true? We're so tired of Journey.
No, I'm tired of Journey. I'm not tired of so good, so true.
Well,
Are you guys tired of so good, so true?
No.
Oh, okay. Why do we hear a babbling brook and beautiful voices in the background, Mead?
because we are here. Literally. We are here on our annual BJTW leadership team retreat. We are here with the beautiful Sam, beautiful Amber, beautiful Jill, beautiful Tracy, beautiful Kelsey, and beautiful Lauren. I'm
Who is
laughing
cross-stitching.
because she is locked in with her sunglasses. We're sitting on the back deck
Hashtag retreat vibes.
and she's cross-stitching away.
Needle. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
What's the difference, Lauren? Here. What's the difference?
Different stitches. It's just a different. You're just gonna have to look it up online. It's just different.
That was not helpful for our listeners.
Culture. There are different Facebook groups. There are different stores. There's
You are
different
really
brands.
insulting some cross point
It's just
needle
different.
stitcher people right now.
Okay, can you tell me what stop and alcohol self would be saying about free from alcohol self Lauren, who's sitting here needle pointing?
I had this vision when I was still drinking of like this calmer version of myself, where instead of like drinking 3 glasses of wine at night, I would like pour a cup of tea and I would sit down, like sort of in the chaos of everything and needle point. And in fact, a couple months before, I think it was a couple months before I stopped drinking, I bought a needlepoint canvas. And I tried it and I was still drinking and it just wasn't working. And I put it away for 3 years. And it took a lot of work to get here, but truly, like when I sit down with this needlepoint canvas at night, it is as relaxing as a glass of wine is. It's like,
Good.
it's huzzah. It's like meditative.
I didn't co-sign huzzah, you guys.
It allows me to like engage with my family, but also like focus on something creative. It's like, I find that if I do this at the end of the day, by the time I go to bed, I've like sorted through all the thoughts. And
Good.
so I can kind of instantly fall asleep. And of course, there's no like anxiety or shame on the other side of it when I wake up. I think that God had like given me this vision of myself before I realized it.
That's so good.
And so true. Which leads me, we're going to have this conversation. We are here in retreat. We're talking about this theme that the Lord placed on my heart, thinking about, praying about what we were going to do this weekend when we all got to meet IRL, not just behind the Zoom screen, which is so incredibly cool. And we've been talking about this theme, like brave women, mighty God. And we talk about it in the collective of as being a team of women who are committed to encouraging and guiding and just supporting and praying over and welcoming and all the things, all the women that have come into our community and that we just have the privilege of just knowing and walking alongside. And it all started with us being a brave woman when we were all at one point stuck in alcohol and feeling like nothing would ever change. And surely this is just a me thing. And surely there's got to be a way to not just quit drinking, but to truly be free from it as a brave woman. And for all of our listeners out there too, if you're listening to this podcast, like, we consider you in the brave woman category, because you too are potentially stuck, or you've been trying to work through it, or you're actively changing your relationship to alcohol. And the fact that you're even looking at this, or the fact that you're even paying attention to the space that alcohol is taking up in your life and how it may be getting in the way of all of your most important relationships, it is a very brave thing to do. I just want to honor each of the women that are sitting here that are so important to us, and we are just so grateful to be able to do this together. But each of you who is listening, who yourself is experiencing, answered the call to be brave. And that's like the first part. And then God does all of these amazing things when we respond to what he's asking us to maybe take a look at, or where he's calling us to growth, or where he's nudging us to something different. That was a really, really long intro, and I'm not sorry about it. I want to pass the mic. We're sitting here, we're having our alcohol-free dry Secco and mocktail situation, and we wanted to invite y'all into this conversation. And I want to pass the mic to anyone who would like to comment on the question that I just asked Lauren, which is, what would your stuck in alcohol self say about something that you're doing now in a way that is different on the side of alcohol? Who would like the disco mic?
Hi, this is Amber. My old self would have never even considered coming on this trip in the first place. And then I love looking back while we're on this trip, as I do with most things in the alcohol journey, and thinking about what I would have done compared to what I am doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with the airport drinks. And this was the first time where I started to see people drinking, and I was like, that it doesn't even look good. Where in the past, I'd be like, I look good, but I don't want it. And then something as silly as the rental car today. I have never ordered a rental car before. And even as much as I would have needed it, I wouldn't do it because I want to drink. And I would have never wanted to drive the rental car. So being able to get a rental car and drive it here. And then today we were going out for a hike and lunch. And without question, I grabbed my keys to go drive the rental car. And we didn't need all three cars. And before, I would have done everything I could have to be the last person to offer to drive that car so that I could have 3 margaritas at that Mexican restaurant or more. So seeing that grow from something so selfish to becoming more selfless is something that is really awesome to see. Even making it dinner tonight, normally I would have been drinking all day long, and I would have ordered a pizza and tipped entirely too much because I was drunk and I wanted to be thrifty and exciting. I didn't care. And I was cooking tonight, and I really was kind of like full of joy. Like it was fun. I was enjoying it, and that is not something that I would have done if I was drinking my parents.
So good.
So good. So true. Hi, Bren. It's me here. I think the getting up early thing, like even this morning. So, okay, we have a fun story from last night. We said we were in Colorado. We're in Colorado, and last night we had a bear visitor, and we had a late arrival. The old winter was walking in, and we waited up for her because her flight was delayed. And even though we were up super late, banging pots and pans and saving her from BJ the bear, I woke up at 5:30 this morning, and if I didn't have all you lovely ladies in this house, I would likely read my Bible and pray and all that good stuff. But I think stuck in drinking Christy would be like, oh, wow, that's nuts and like unattainable. But that's what you quote unquote should be doing, right?
You're the rainbow unicorn.
Like, that's not,
Yeah. It's the people that you hear about in church that do that you're like, oh,
they can't actually be.
right. That's not actually a thing. And so I think that, and then they have become sacred, my mornings, right? Because as any mom knows, that's when the house is still quiet usually. So I think that's one of the things that I would say my drinking self would be like, oh, wow.
Thank you, Miss California. That was a beautiful response. Would anybody else like to answer said question?
I would say that just like traveling yesterday, as Christy mentioned, my plane was delayed so many times, and
It wasn't just
it was supposed to be an easy direct flight. It wasn't, and I was rerouted to a different airport, and then we had to take off again and land again, and then anyway, I just showed up here 4 hours later than I was, and it was fine, and it was fine, and it was the old me would have been so impatient and so annoyed, and it would have been everybody else's fault, and I would have been buying drinks on the airplane and just not handling it gracefully at all. And yesterday, it was what it was, you know? That's a huge difference.
You did come in with a joyful smile, and after all that you went through, of all the gals here, most of them have shared their freedom from alcohol story on the pod, and the few who have not yet, don't worry, it's coming. I'm looking at you and I'm looking at you. No pressure. So I would just invite anybody to revisit those episodes where they did share their story. So please take time. We're not going to go through everybody's freedom from alcohol story here. I mean, that could take a while. But I'd really love to know, how has your relationship, so you changed your relationship to alcohol, you found freedom from it. How has your relationship to yourself, to others, to God, how has that changed since freedom from alcohol? What does that look like? It's different.
Hi, this is Sam. I would say that I just trust myself now and have more confidence, because when I was stuck in the drinking cycle and was trying to get out of it, but couldn't do it on my own, I kept making promises to myself and then would wake up in the morning and say, well, you broke that promise again. Well, you broke that promise again. And over time, it just beats down your self-confidence. You wonder, like, why can't I hack this? Why can't I just beat this thing or do this or just keep the promises I make to myself? So since finding freedom, I know I can trust myself, and I do stick to my goals as much as I can, I guess, and the decisions that I make, and I follow through with them. So when I find something new that I want to do, instead of being too afraid because I don't have confidence in myself, I'm like, yeah, I can do that.
Wow.
That's all.
I love that.
So good.
So good. So good.
This is Jill. Hi, everybody. So we talk a lot in our community about how much headspace that alcohol takes up. And I think for me personally, because I'm older and I have more time in the day, I don't kids running around, some of the things that I have noticed is that primarily is I'm more present. I'm not looking forward to that glass of wine so much so that I'm planning it, I'm chilling it, I'm getting ready for it. I'm hoping my husband has a late call so that dinner can be later, so that I can stand in the kitchen and have that second glass of wine while I'm preparing dinner. I am just ready and raring to go for whatever happens, and I'm fully present to what the Lord would guide me to do. And I think for me personally, that headspace that I was giving over to the alcohol being completely gone. And it wasn't just those 3 or 4 hours of drinking those 2 glasses of wine. It was the 3 or 4 hours leading up to it, 3 or 4 hours after that. That's, 12 hours a day that I was just giving up to this substance that was robbing me of just being in presence, being in the moment, being attentive to the Holy Spirit, accepting a call, going for a walk, not losing my temper at drivers and whatnot. So that's all. It was just really the headspace that I gained. And every day I'm so thankful for that, because I don't have to think about the wine robbing me of that anymore.
When you were just talking, Jill, I was reminded of when we recorded your episode, and what you describe is so relatable to so many women. And so I'm so grateful that you're here. And
I am curious about, if y'all can go back to put yourself in the shoes of the women who are listening now that are just like, okay, I hear you. I'm so convinced that life is better free from alcohol, but I'm so stuck. What was the hardest part for y'all in the beginning when you were being brave women paying attention to how alcohol was taking up space in your life, and you were kind of in that place of like, don't know too about it. And I can't imagine my life without it, but I don't want to be doing this anymore. Can anyone take me back to what was the hardest part of getting started? What did you have to overcome to start moving forward in the journey?
This is Sam again. This sounds cliche, but the hardest part was just taking that first step. And for me, it was reaching out to Christy and starting coaching. But I spent so many weeks and months wrestling with, I can do this by myself, or I don't need community, or I don't need help in any way. But for me, I just got to a point that I realized I did need something more and I couldn't do it by myself. And again, it sounds cliche to say it, but like just that first leap of faith into doing it was the absolute hardest part, because everything after that came so much easier. It just saying it and knowing I was tackling it and just making progress. And even if you take 2 steps backwards, but 1 step forward, it was still forward momentum. So the absolute hardest part was just the first step. And from there, you're doing work no matter how it looks. If it's data points or no data points, it's getting done. So yes, the first step is the hardest part.
This is Lauren. I think, yes, for me, the hardest part was admitting something had to change, because I'd spent so long trying to convince myself that nothing needed to change. There wasn't a problem that needed to be addressed. But that first step that you talked about, you're kind of giving up control a little bit, because you can put all the steps in place, but in some ways you're not in total control of the outcome. So I guess my fear was in admitting that something needed to change was, what if I can't change?
It's good.
And so it's a little bit of a surrender.
It's a lot of bit of surrender.
Yeah. Because you can do all the right things and still feel stuck sometimes.
Say that again.
You can do all the right things and still feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
You can totally stop drinking and be alcohol free and still feel stuck. And luckily I'm not there anymore. And with Chrissy's help and with the help of this group and other small groups, and anyway, I feel very free. It's just admitting that I needed to change the way I was living my life. I mean, something needed to change. And I wasn't in control of the outcome.
Y'all both hit on the aspect of like being alone with this, and then the importance of community, inviting somebody else into the journey, inviting a group into the journey. And so I'm curious for the whole group, like what have you learned about the importance of having community on this journey? Have you learned about the importance of community in this journey? Or gosh, replace that word journey. Please give me a synonym that actually sounds better. Whatever. Anyway, what have you learned about the importance of community in doing?
We start calling it the Exodus. Alcohol Exodus.
That already came up when we did that masterclass with Pastor David.
Yeah.
Remember
The
Rita said
Exodus.
that you guys left Egypt and then you turned around to get more women out of it.
There we go. There's our word for journey. Boom.
Yeah.
The alcohol exodus. So talk to me about the importance of, what have you learned about the importance of community when you're doing the brave hard thing of the alcohol exodus?
Well, it's Christy. I think that one of the things we were talking about this morning over breakfast was that when you are in community, that is what helps break the shame, because you know that you're not alone. And when you say something out loud in a room with people that are going to love you anyway, that is the first step to breaking down that shame. And alcohol has such a shame hold on so many women. It had a hold on everybody here. And I know so many women listening. And so that, I think, is one of the really important things. And then friendship. I'm not going to cry, but like these gals at this table are some of my best friends now. And like, how beautiful is that we're brought together by this alcohol exodus. Was the question for me? No. Okay. Cool.
It's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Imagine stepping into a vibrant, warm community where faith, friendship, and freedom from alcohol all come together. That's exactly what you'll experience in the But Jesus Drank Wine community. Each week, our members gather for connection calls that feel like a breath of fresh air, a time to share, grow, and support one another. With an encouraging leadership team, a dedicated prayer request space, and connection opportunities in every time zone, you don't have to walk this journey alone. Plus, we bring you masterclasses with expert guests, optional book clubs and Bible studies, and so much more. And for those ready to go even deeper, we offer a small group coaching space called The Missing Piece. With weekly recorded coaching calls, it's a supportive place for women committed to breaking free from alcohol. We're here to hold space for sober and sober-curious women who love Jesus or are eager to reconnect with him. Wherever you are on your path, you'll feel seen, supported, and strengthened here. As one member described, quote, "The BJDW community is unique because there's a connection between faith and freedom from alcohol that I haven't been able to find in any other online space or through my church." Ready to join the sisterhood? Head over to butjesusdrankwine.com/community or click the link in the show notes to learn more. We can't wait to meet you.
Closest to me, they didn't have the same relationship with him.
Right.
They
Yeah.
didn't have the internal dialogue and the shame of just like, we felt like, why can't I get this together? So for somebody to hold space and say, you know what you're going through, and I love you right there, and actually mean it. Like that was what I heard in your podcast when you found it. And I just decided to try and believe that was true, even though I didn't. It became true. Then I realized it was true.
That's why I think it's so, I know we both say this a lot in like our coaching, but maybe you can't see that for yourself yet. And maybe you don't have that belief that something could be different or that there is compassion in this journey. And that's, I think, one of the greatest gifts that we get to do now, being free from alcohol, is give other women, we can have that belief for them. We can show them what that looks like until they can believe it for themselves, that it's actually true. Because you said not even believing it yet, but it opened that possibility. And I think that's so important.
I will say really practically for me that it felt like I was learning to swim or learning to ski. And I'd done like a month by myself, but I knew that I wanted to keep going and I knew I needed lessons. And so it's like hiring a personal trainer or, I don't know, hiring someone to teach you how to ski. I learned to ski as an adult. It was really hard. And I couldn't figure it out myself. And because it's not always intuitive. And so being part of a community for the past 3 years was totally key.
Yeah, Lauren, and also when you were saying that, I was just thinking, when we talk about Romans 12:2 over and over again, and do not conform to the pattern of this world, the world, especially in the alcohol area, is so stinking loud. It is so loud. It is everywhere you look. And so to have a community of people that are doing this differently, it makes the noise of the world, again, you're not alone, but also when you're swimming with your kind of like own tribe, it's a lot easier. I don't know where I was going with the swimming metaphor, but you know what I'm saying.
A lot there together, but I like it.
Yeah. I was just thinking of that, like, that little, yeah. Did you guys see that little Romans 12:2 thing that I bought?
Yes.
It's the little red pink fish swimming against all the other white fish, and it says, do not conform. Anyways, I was trying to bring in the fish, but it didn't really work. I think it
Worked.
We
We'll
got
add
you.
that picture to the chapstick picture.
We got you. Anybody else over there?
Hey again, it's Jill. So I'm one of the older ladies here, but I will tell you, these younger women do so much to uplift and encourage me. What I love most about our community is that the walls are broken, ladies. We come with the same vulnerability, and we are ready to do some work with the Lord, and to see God at work in each other is such an amazing thing. And it builds my faith. It builds their faith. We know that God is real. And how many times have you heard people say to you, well, you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem. But in your heart, you've got to make a change. In your heart that God is leading you just something different. And it may be different than the people around you. But you come into this community and it's the women who are all wanting to praise and honor the Lord with their lives and their choices and with their decision to leave alcohol behind and to grow and keep maturing in that faith and to watch others do it, no matter what stage of life you're in, it doesn't matter. God is always at work and he's always growing all of us. And we're just like a giant little garden here, lots of little flowers to watch. And so it's a beautiful thing.
This is Tracy. And for me, I've never been in a group before that's so full of grace. And yeah, I grew up in, a wonderful home, but my parents, I felt it was very performance driven. Like I really could never not have it all together. And that's kind of continued really, honestly, my whole adult life. So this is the first group I've ever been in where I feel like I can be completely honest and that y'all still love me and that God still loves me despite how much I fail.
Snaps for Tracy.
Huzzah. So we all realize at some point, and probably if you've been listening to the pod even for a second, you get this too, but most of the battle and changing your relationship to alcohol isn't actually happening in the glass. It's happening within our heads. And it starts with mining through the stories that we've believed, the stories that we've told ourselves about what we think alcohol can or can't do for us. And so for this segment, I would love to read some of these internal conflict conversations, things that I know we have all related in being able to, we have banging around in our heads when we're stuck from alcohol, and maybe relatable to y'all listening. And what I'd love if you would then share, like, how has God revealed to you, what has God revealed to you as true on the opposite side of that story? So does that make sense? Is that a really bad way of wording it? Okay, so for instance, and one of you touched on this earlier, which like we all relate. Why can't I just get it together? Everyone else seems fine. If people knew how much I drink, they wouldn't respect me. I should be able to moderate. What's wrong with me? Drinking is the only way I know how to relax or have fun. If I stop drinking, I'll lose friends or I won't fit in. I can't imagine holidays or vacations without alcohol. I've tried this before many, many times and failed. Maybe I'm just not meant to be free. If I stop drinking, who even am I? So for y'all, what of those resonate with the story that you believed about alcohol and how maybe that was the internal dialogue in your head, and what did God reveal to you as true about those things?
I think my biggest lie was that I was drinking to relax and have me time and decompress after a long day of being a mom of a small child, and the pandemic was happening. So for me, having that glass or 4 of wine at the end of the day was like my moment for myself, the way I was going to treat myself. And since then, it has been so revealed to me and so obvious that I was using wine to try and de-stress, but wine was the thing causing my stress. And it was just a big endless circle. The anxiety and the stress of my day were coming from the wine I had the night before. And I know Christy knows all the sciencey words of the endorphins and whatever those are. I don't know all of those, but it was just this endless cycle of stress and anxiety, but alcohol was causing it in the first place. And the peace I have now and the true rest and relaxation when I do get it is so much more just deep and fulfilling and lasts. And it's just real rest. And I don't have that cycle. There's still stress and anxiety in life, but it's caused by actual things and not by what was in my glass.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Please do.
What do you do now when you do have stress? Instead of turning to alcohol, what do you do?
Pray about it. That's a new one for me.
Hmm.
And then that's wasn't always my first thing, but it's starting to become my first thing, which is really cool. I love to take a walk if possible. Sometimes that's tough with 2 small children, but getting outside, making a cup of tea. I'm a big fan of a mocktail or an NA because I do think it does have a place to sit down and just take a moment for yourself. And whether it's just a cold glass of ice water with lemon, it just can recenter you and kind of just give you some peace and presence. But yeah, I guess it kind of depends on the day.
Sam wears many hats and on the BJDW team, and she is not only head of operations, she is also our mocktail mixologist with her Wednesday posts in the community, which are so fun, and we appreciate you.
I thought that it was the thing I enjoyed the most.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was the thing about my life that like brought me joy.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mentioned, I knew I needed something to change. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have less joy in my life. And that was a lie I told myself, or just something that wasn't true that I believed. And he has revealed that that was not true, that I find joy in many, actually more things now. And that was actually sucking joy out.
Follow-up question for you, ma'am. Where are you getting your LJP now? Your love, joy, peace.
Needle pointing.
Obviously.
Love, joy, peace.
It's a Pastor Davidism that.
Yeah. So I spend about an hour before the rest of my family wakes up reading the Bible and journaling and prayer. And so that is sort of like the cornerstone of my peace, I will say. Like if I can start my day that way before sort of the madness, that is ideal. And I truly enjoy waking up. Like that is joy. It's like the alarm goes off, the coffee it was made the night before, and I can sit down and be quiet for an hour. I also think that like in terms of stress relief, intense cardio has helped me a lot. Not like CrossFit or anything. I'm not like rolling tires over anything, but I never had the bandwidth to work out when I was hungover, and that helps a ton. Being creative, needle pointing, writing.
That was something that was just so relatable what you said, Lauren, as far as I thought it was the thing that was giving me.
Like
if
I
really
made it my
thought
hobby.
Yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, if I really, really thought about it, I could see that it wasn't, but I did believe for so long that it was. It just became automatic. That's where I was turning for what I thought was love, joy, and peace. But Christy so brilliantly coined so long ago on the pod, like you were talking about fun, you were confusing chaos for fun. And I think similarly for me, I was confusing what I thought alcohol was giving me. I was thinking that was love, joy, peace, so to speak. But now that I know true love, joy, and peace that comes from being in a personal relationship with the Lord in a way that alcohol didn't allow me to, no substitute, artificial or not. So for the rest of you, where you getting your LJP, and or what internal conversation were you having? What story were you believing? Truth has God revealed to you about it?
I think the story that kept me the most stuck was relationships, and specifically the relationship with my husband, because we had a fantastic marriage surrounded by a lot of fun. And I was absolutely terrified that if I stopped drinking, that it would ruin our marriage. So I told myself a lot of lies that if I stopped drinking, that our marriage would suffer, and ended up being the opposite. We're doing just as good, if not better than, or we are doing better than when I was drinking. So I'm glad that we got past that.
So as I mentioned, or this is Jill, by the way, as I mentioned earlier, the bandwidth that I was giving my wine, my 2 glasses of wine each day, all day, really stole my love, joy, and peace, because I was too busy thinking about that rather than allowing God to work in my heart and in my mind. So I believe it was the big stealer of my love, joy, and peace. But now what I find is obviously like I said, I'm very present in the moment. And it runs countercultural. I live in a beachfront community where it's 5 o'clock sunlight all the time, every day. Everybody comes down to visit. They're on vacation. They all want to go party and have cocktails on the beach. And I get that because they're on vacation. It's a vacation mindset. And in my age group, the 50 to 60s, where kids are out of the house, you have more money to spend online, you have more time to go out, you have more bandwidth to give to a substance like that. And it's such a lie. It's such a lie because it does not give you the joy and peace that you think it does. And you have to approach it counterculturally, which is so weird. Go through your social media. Who of your friends are posting their noonday cocktails and their wine parties and the boat trips that are alcohol infused? And I'm not condemning any of that. I'm just saying that is how our culture operates. And when we choose to go counterculture, it's an about face and it takes a lot of work. I used to think that I needed it for just socializing in my age group, buying wines at dinner and bringing a bottle of wine over to a friend's house always. It just seemed to go with the flow of what the culture was doing. And as long as I kept it to my 2 glasses, moderated, I was all good. But I realized that it was not working good for me and it was not success for me. And that believing that $400 bottle of wine is going to change your life is not true. It actually doesn't change your life. It works the same way as that $15 bottle of wine in your system and your body. So it is a lie. It steals your loved one in peace. And I'm so grateful to be able to not have to go down that path again.
I'm not sure if this is quite what you asked, but I thought I had to enter into relationships protective of myself. And that got particularly loud when alcohol was involved. Like in relationship with my husband and friendships, and not having that has allowed me to believe what God says about me, which then just allows there to be a warmth in relationships that wasn't there, a trust in relationships that wasn't there with other people. Because I don't have to think, how do I keep myself intact when I'm sharing it with somebody else? We can just say it's okay if they mess up and it's okay if I mess up. It changes. But like, I had to get on a plane with a stranger in quotes. And I thought, what a fun day that we're going to have getting to know them. And it's okay with silence, and it's okay if we don't want to talk to one another the entire time.
Who did it?
Yeah, which we didn't. Yeah, but I don't have to worry what she thinks about me because I know what God thinks about me, and I just get to show up with her and see what He has in store for us. And I couldn't have done it. So like the relationships bring the love, joy, and peace now because I don't come into them trying to protect myself in them. There's a lot of unlearning that has happened intentionally with that. But I had no space for that with alcohol. I just had to make sure I thought I was fine in a relationship because I heard too much to think otherwise.
Well, I'm going to hit you with a little lightning round and everybody has to answer. Right? Even you. Finish this sentence. Life without alcohol is blank.
More than I could have asked or imagined beyond. What's the verse? He can do more than, what am I trying to find? He can do infinitely. Yeah, what's the verse?
Immeasurably more. Immeasurably more.
Yeah. Immeasurably more than I could have ever imagined. Now I can't speak.
Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine according to his power that is at work within us.
Yeah, that's the verse that I thought, like Ephesians 3:20. Just immeasurably more than I could have ever imagined.
Ephesians 3:16 through 20. I pray that out of his glorious riches he may strengthen you with power through his Spirit in your inner being, so that Christ may dwell in your heart through faith. And I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the Lord's holy people to grasp how wide and long and high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know this love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of all the fullness of God. Now to him who is able to do immeasurably more than all we ask or imagine, according to his power that is at work within us. To him be the glory in the church and Christ Jesus through all generations, forever and ever. Amen.
A life without alcohol is?
Life without alcohol is
Life without alcohol is?
blank.
New and exciting, because you get to redo everything that you've already done and do it again without alcohol. And it's a completely different and more exciting experience.
Life without alcohol is easier. So much, life is still tough in so many ways, but removing alcohol from it has just made the tough times 10 times easier than they would have been if I was still drinking.
My relationship with Jesus is just so much better because I always felt like there was something in between us, and I knew that's what it was. And so now I just feel so much closer to him and just more depth of joy.
The word that comes to mind for me is relief. And I just am so relieved when I think about that hole that I was trapped in and to be out of it. There's really such freedom and relief in it.
What keeps coming to mind for me is life is more rich and abundant. I feel that God has opened so many opportunities and to invite me into a deeper relationship with him. And then that has helped me feed that into others. And so much so it just kind of shocks me sometimes that he is so good and brings people into my life and then blesses me by them and then allows me to pour into others. And I've always heard that you can't give what you haven't received. And I think that giving that headspace to applying and then finally giving that to the Lord, I can now get more from him.
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like that abundant richness, flowing grace is able to pull out of me where I was letting it get stuck and channeled in ways that were not helping me or anybody else. Rich and abundant.
So I would say life without alcohol is full of the most amazing surprises, the most fun that I never saw coming. I never could have imagined breaking up with alcohol, changing that relationship, severing that relationship, and falling in love with Jesus. It's literally like the Maverick City music song that I always keep coming back to. It keeps getting better over and over again. And so as we wrap our time together, I would love to just, for a couple of y'all to chime in on this one last. What's one hope or prayer you carry for the women God is inviting into community with us?
A simple one. Bravery, because it's the scary stuff.
So thank you for listening today. Such a good way to wrap us. And as we pray for y'all this weekend, and anyone that's listening already have bravely responded, I just would encourage y'all, like Lauren was talking about that surrender in the very beginning. God's job is to create the result. Like your bravery in responding, like taking whatever new tiny Tina from here, tiny new action you can from here that hits you, moves you forward on the alcohol exodus journey. Like it starts with you being a brave woman. And now our mighty God who loves you so infinitely, exactly as you are now, and also wants so much more for you, he can do immeasurably more. He will do. And we are walking testimonies of that. And that is the hope and prayer that I have for anyone listening. So thank you for joining us today. We will see you. Thank you all for joining, each of you. Sam, Amber, Jill, Tracy, Kelsey, Lauren, and Christy. We love you.
See you next Monday.
Before we go, if you're craving real connection and want to talk more about what we've shared today, come join us in the BJDW community. It's where these conversations continue, and we'd love to welcome you in. You can find all of our podcast episodes at butjesusdrankwine.com. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at butjesusdrankwine. Take a screenshot of this episode and share it with a friend or two. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you love what we're doing, we'd be so grateful if you left a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Your reviews help more women who feel stuck and alone in the overdrinking cycle find the hope and encouragement they've been praying for. Finally, we'd love to shout out the incredible team at Life Audio for their partnership with us at the But Jesus Drank Wine podcast. We invite you, dear listener, to visit lifeaudio.com, where you will find dozens of other faith-centered podcasts in the Life Audio network. Shows about prayer, Bible study, Christian parenting, and more. Thanks, friend. We appreciate you so much, and we'll see you next week.